Guys, welcome to Scriptly Adapted Entertainment. We are in studio, first show in studio, first major show back from a little hiatus. We have some great things for you. I'm Keota Howard.
I'm Kate Knowles. Hey guys, welcome back.
Guys, listen, we have a great show. As you all know, it was Oscar
Yes.
this past Sunday. Some, okay show.
I wasn't impressed.
Wasn't some people weren't impressed?
Overrated.
Overrated. We'll break down some categories. We'll get into some best picture talk because I have some things to say about that, and I know Kate has too.
Oh, I definitely do.
But Kate, all right. So Oscars. One major thing people look out for the Oscars is the fashion. So what?
Yeah,
what did you think?
absolutely the fashion. A couple of people stood out to me. I know that I definitely love Julianne Moore's outfit. It was Coco Chanel. It was like this beautiful one piece. It was beaded, and she just looked absolutely stunning. She looked like a nominee.
Okay.
She was just beautiful, and she has this red hair.
Okay, I like it.
She has this red hair, and it just kind of stands out, and she's like, paler skinned, and it was beautiful. She looked gorgeous. She looked regal and just calm and cool and collected, but that's how she always is.
Yeah.
I just thought she killed the outfit.
Nice.
And she got good reviews from like E! Online. They always do the fashion red carpet, which I love. Another one that really stood out to me.
Sorry, that's the one Joan Rivers used to be on?
Yeah, that was the one Joan Rivers did, and Juliana Rancic and Kelly Osbourne and all of them. Now Kathy Griffin's on the show, one of my favorite comedians of all time. But anyway, I digress. Another celebrity that I absolutely loved was Rosamund Pike. She was in Gone Girl. For those of you that have seen the movie, quite twisted, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Beautiful red floral texturized gown. She did a red shoe with it, which was... You can be very iffy with that. Like, sometimes you can pull it off, sometimes you can't, but she did. And she looked fantastic considering the woman just had a baby like 4 months ago.
Nice.
She looked great. And then Jared Leto. I know you had comments about our man Jared.
Oh, Jared.
Oscar winner last year for Dallas Buyers Club. He had on a powder blue suit and white shoes.
Kate,
He looked ridiculous. And his hair,
I don't know about Jared. Jared had this, like you said, powder blue suit on. He looked like he totally was out of the 70s with that outfit.
Yeah.
It looked like he
did
just
pull it off though.
He pulled it off because he's Jared Leto.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks like a rock star. He's a good-looking guy. Women love him.
Yeah.
I mean, he can wear anything.
That's true.
A garbage
That's
bag,
true.
and people are like, oh, that's the new style. It's Jared Leto.
Right.
He's just cool like that.
With
But I
the
thought for
long
the
hair.
Oscars, you might want to class it up a little. But
Yeah.
I guess not.
I mean, I think he pulled it off because he's Jared Leto. I mean, what can you do?
Yeah.
Another one is Marion Cotillard. She was also nominated this year for Best Supporting Actress.
Yes, again.
Was it supporting or was it Best
think she was
Actress?
Best-
Actually, I think it was Best
Yeah.
Actress, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And she, I thought it was a beautiful gown. She got kind of a little bit of flack for it, but it was white and it had kind of like this polka dot design and it had like this like bubble on the back.
Okay.
And it sounds really odd, but it was
Yeah, it
sleek and slimming, and she really wore it. I mean, it looked great on her. I loved it.
Okay.
Those were like the main fashions that stuck out to me. Other than that, I thought it was a pretty humdrum year.
Well, speaking of fashion,
Yeah.
wanted to comment on Lady Gaga's fashion.
Yeah.
She actually looked decent.
She did.
Looked,
She did. And I find funny because when and I said this to you during the show, when she started out, she was odd looking, it's kind of what Sia's like now.
Yes.
You know the singer Sia?
Yes.
She's kind of
taken on that
emulating,
persona.
Lady Gaga, but the thing is now Lady Gaga is starting to look human. Like she's starting she still has a little bit of edge, but it's just enough edge where people don't I think she's created the iconic aspect of her personality enough so that she can be a little bit calmer this time.
She's definitely growing into her maturity. I think
Yeah,
she's definitely,
absolutely.
she her last, I guess you call album was with Tony Bennett, which
Right.
was a lot more mature
Yeah.
and it was classy, and she even changed her style for that when she was doing interviews on many TV shows.
Yeah.
And now come Oscars, she did a huge performance, outstanding.
Oh my God, she blew it out of the water.
Outstanding performance.
Unbelievable.
And she looked regal almost in a, I guess, pop culture new age way.
Right.
She looked
With
regal.
the tattoo. She was singing. I mean, we'll get into the performance a little bit later, but just to give you a highlight, she was singing. She did a tribute to Julie Andrews. And for those of you who don't know Julie Andrews, she was in Sound of Music. She was Mary Poppins most famously. She did a tribute singing all the popular songs from Sound of Music. And every time she kept going like this or like this, all you could see were her tattoos. So, but she was in this beautiful white ball gown, and her hair was done, and her makeup was done, and she looked like she belonged in Sound of Music, but it was like modernized. It was kind of cool, like the dichotomy of it.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about performances a little later. How's popcorn?
Popcorn was good.
It was good?
Yeah.
I might have a piece.
Thank you.
All right, so so let's get into winners of the main 6 categories. You start off.
So guys, listen. The Oscars had some hits, some misses as far as, in my opinion, with the winners and the losers. I mean, we have Best Supporting Actor went to J.K. Simmons for a critically acclaimed, extraordinary film, Whiplash. J.K. comes from, you know, your Spider-Man films. He did Juno. He did a couple of TV shows. Very underrated actor. Definitely paved his way up to where he's at now to be an Oscar winner. So I wasn't surprised about that.
No, he had it in the bag.
Wasn't surprised
he
about
won
that.
What, every award?
Every other award this season he won. With your Screen Actors Guild, your Golden Globe, and all that stuff.
The BAFTA too.
And the BAFTA. And when you win those awards, it is pretty much known that you're probably going to take home your big one, the Oscars. So J.K., well-deserved, great actor, played the hell out of that role of that teacher.
Yeah, he did.
Don't want to get into details, don't want to spoil it for him, but great film. Patricia Arquette won for Best Supporting Actress for Boyhood. What do you think?
She did. First of all, Boyhood was the longest movie in the history of movies. I fell asleep. Robert Linklater is a genius.
Genius director.
For those of you who don't know, Boyhood is basically a movie that they took over a period of 12 years and filmed it with the same cast, and it had never been done before, as far as I know. So it was kind of it was definitely original. Boring as hell. But the thing was,
harsh.
I know
That's
it really was though.
That's
I mean.
harsh.
But if you look at it for what
boring.
it was, then it should have been boring because it's chronicling the life of a boy in his boyhood. And however, as far as Patricia Arquette's performance, I felt like the film was almost more about her than it was about him because she was a single mom. Part of the movie, she was in a domestically abusive relationship. You know, it was really about her struggle about how to raise 2 kids and raise them to be good people. And I don't know if she deserved the Oscar for it.
Her performance was great.
I liked her. I thought she was good.
Her performance was great.
Good.
I enjoyed the film. I thought the film was really well done.
Yeah.
I thought it was creative. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, you're going to do a film over a 12-year span chronicling the life of this one boy. Pretty damn innovative.
Definitely, yeah.
It was slow at times, but Patricia's character she just reminded me of an everyday single mother.
Well, I think that was the point.
And that was the point. But she really, you know, stuck true to that role and portrayed it so well that it was so believable that you forget it's almost Patricia Arquette, which is what you're supposed to do when you're an actress.
Right.
You want to forget that's an actor, like that's Johnny Depp or whatever.
Yeah.
And she did that for me. And I think that's why she took home that award. I think she was able to really dive into this role and take it on her own and create this character.
Well, let me say something. I don't know if any of you watched the Oscars or if you saw her speech, but I think it tied in. She gave a speech, and she also, at the end of the speech, she talked about women's rights, and she talked about equal pay for women. And I really think she used her character, not only the Oscars, but her character as a platform to tie it in. And I thought that was brilliant how she did that because, you know, the Arquettes they are a huge acting Hollywood family. I mean, and so I think it was very smart with how she did that because people could relate because they'd just seen her on the screen playing a woman who was struggling to make ends meet. Right. So it made sense.
And did you see your girl Meryl Streep get up
yeah,
like she was in church and say, "Oh, you speak, girl. Yes, girl."
She did. And then one of the guys made a joke and was like, and Meryl Streep realized that she was underpaid.
Yeah.
Never mind, the actress has been nominated, at least 14 times?
At least 14 times. Won 3. I mean, there's not much to really complain about, but whatever.
Right. Hey.
Then we have Eddie Redmayne.
She was with it. Yeah.
We have Eddie Redmayne, who won Best Actor for his role in The Theory of Everything. Another role where he transformed into Stephen Hawking. Absolutely deserving. But my boy Michael Keaton, for Birdman, should have taken home that award.
Now, what did I say to you? I said to you that if the Academy wanted to remain traditional, they would give it to Eddie Redmayne.
Okay.
If they wanted to step outside the box and be different, they would give it to Michael Keaton. I thought Michael Keaton's performance was phenomenal. However, I think any time that you have someone who is portraying a real-life person and has to contort their body, the man took ballet classes, for crying out loud, to contort his body, and he stayed that way for hours. And, he's a first-time Oscar winner. And I think he had it. He had it. I'm sorry. I knew from the get-go that Michael Keaton wasn't going to win it.
I had an idea they were not going to go with Keaton on this one, simply because of what you said, Eddie Redmayne physically transforming, into the character. But, it is what it is. Eddie won it. He deserved a great performance, but I thought Michael should have taken it home.
So as we talked about fashion, she not only rocked the red carpet, but she won her first Best Actress Oscar, Julianne Moore, and she was great. She won it for Still Alice, which is a film about a woman who is battling the early stages of Alzheimer's.
Yes.
And what makes it even more unique is that she's a prolific, I believe, speech professor. And so she starts to forget words, and it's really chronicling her journey. I actually have to admit, I didn't see this film, but I've seen clips of it, and I have to admit that Julianne Moore was due for an Oscar. She's a brilliant actress, and I just think that it was time. It was time. I hate to say that because I feel like you should get an Oscar because you deserve it because of your performance, not because you're due an Oscar. You know what I mean?
Right. She's got the Leonardo DiCaprio syndrome, where
their
body of work is so great. They get nominated, lose.
Yeah.
And Leo still hasn't won one, but Julianne Moore finally got hers. Her body of work is equally as awesome, and she's definitely deserved it for the film. Great film.
Yeah.
How about Best Director?
Best Director, Alejandro Iñárritu. He was Best Director for Birdman, completely original film, original screenplay. This movie was completely innovative, completely out of the box. When you're talking about completely just taking the theme of cinema and Hollywood and actors and actresses, but putting it into the context of an alter ego, which is what Birdman is.
An alter ego.
It was one of my favorite films of the year. That and Grand Budapest Hotel. I know how you feel about that one, but
okay.
You guys have to see it. I don't want to give you even a slightest hint of how it was because it's an injustice if you don't go see it. It was amazing.
Listen, Birdman was awesome. And Alejandro definitely deserved Best Actor. Best Director. Great, innovative, original film. Like you said, chronicling the life of an actor who's battling an ego.
Yeah.
And in this case, his ego is the superhero Birdman, who flies around as his alter ego in studios or in the playhouses that he's doing the show in the film, or outside while he's walking the streets of New York. Alejandro definitely deserved it. Great film.
Yeah.
Great film.
So going into, as we said, Birdman, one of our favorite pictures of the year.
Yes.
I loved Grand Budapest. I don't think it would have deserved the Oscar had it won, but I thought it was innovative as well, very different. Ralph Fiennes is one of my favorite actors. If you've seen Harry Potter, he was great as Voldemort. And he's just effortless in the role. And I personally thought he should have been nominated for Best Actor. I thought he was great. So it was great. And I think what really sticks out to me about Birdman was the drum score.
Yes.
And how it heightens the anxiety that Michael Keaton's feeling. And so you start to take that on and you feel anxious.
Now, the drum score, listen, I'm a big score person. I love scores in films. I listen to that before I actually really hone in on what the film is actually about. Because for me, the score drives the film. It helps me understand these characters and what the film is talking about as far as the emotion is supposed to feel. And I have to say, the drum score fit perfectly for this one-take, innovative film of Birdman. It was just constant throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
The more intense Michael Keaton's character got as far as emotions, the more intense the drums got. It was just really, really, really creative. Really creative.
That's right, people. He said it was filmed in one take. Do you know how incredibly hard that is? One take.
One take.
No breaks, nothing, no cuts, except maybe for like two very subtle ones that you almost have a hard time picking out. One take, and I think that really cemented it, and that's probably why it won Best Picture. So as we talk about the drum score, and we lead into the performances of the night, I thought the performances actually was better than the show. Let's start talking about Neil Patrick Harris as our host.
Neil Patrick Harris, Kate. Well, I told you this before. Neil did not really do it for me this year.
Me neither.
I thought he dropped the ball. I thought Neil could have been a lot funnier, a lot edgier.
Yeah.
I think he was super conservative, and that's the reason why they picked him for the host, because they knew he wouldn't do anything over the top. I feel Hollywood is just so
boring.
Boring.
But the Oscars is not the time
know.
for that. And I feel like you have shows that are a little bit looser, and you have shows that are a little bit more formalized. And I think, first of all, every time I look at, I was about to say it, every time I look at Neil Patrick Harris, I think of Doogie Howser. I still can't get him out of my head, and that's who he'll always be to me. But I think he'd never before. I'm disappointed in him. I'm disappointed in you, Neil, and I'll tell you why. Because you're a Tony winner. The stage is your home. How are you going to get on stage in the Dolby Theater and not be able to deliver? I don't understand that.
Okay.
Like, I know he's restricted, but I just felt like he was lackluster. I don't know.
Okay, well, he did get on stage, and the opening performance was pretty good.
Right.
And you could tell that he was channeling his inner Broadway self on stage, right? But as far as hosting, I felt like he was just kind of, he was holding back. I think, his most edgiest thing was coming out in his underwear, and that was it.
Right.
But, I mean, other than that, he didn't really do anything for me. No. I mean, I would have rather have seen maybe Billy Crystal or somebody come out. Maybe Steve Martin.
Oh, he would have been great.
He would have been great.
But I thought even the singing thing with Anna Kendrick, like, I thought that was a little,
Right.
But yeah, so we'll leave Neil alone now. As far as the performances, I think the performance of the night was John Legend and Common.
Yeah,
They sang Glory, which won Best Original Score for the movie Selma, which was about the march to Selma in hopes of cementing voters' rights for African Americans. And it was, I mean, at the end of they got a standing ovation. Chris Pine was crying. David Oyelowo was crying.
Again.
I mean,
he cries in every single
when
situation with Selma, or when someone's talking about it, that actor is crying every single time.
Okay.
I get it.
Yeah, he's channeling Martin Luther King. I mean, I would think
the movie's
he would
over.
Be...
Let's move on here. I mean, but listen, the performance itself was great. Common and John Legend also won for best original song, which was well deserving. Song was amazing. The performance was solid, and they had the entire theater stand up to their feet and give them a round of applause on their feet, and it was amazing. It was a great, solid performance from both.
Yeah, and I have to say the
most memorable, I would say, the long time.
Yeah, and a great performance too was Lady Gaga's tribute to Julie Andrews, like I referred to.
Yes. She looks great still.
Julie Andrews, yeah, and I think it was just so moving. Now, I often say this about Beyonce as well. We all know that they can sing, but the thing is, they're so fast-paced, and their music is fast-paced, and their singing is fast-paced. So when you hear them channel the slower facet of their talent, it's really mind-blowing, because I saw on Facebook tons of posts like, wow, I didn't know Lady Gaga could sing like that. I'm like, dude, she's a Juilliard graduate.
Right.
Like, you would
we
think...
forget about that.
Yeah, you would think...
We forget about that.
And she's one of our own. She's from Yonkers, and she's supremely talented. And I think she really got people to respect her on a different level that night. I really do. So I think the set design was beautiful.
Set design was beautiful. Classic. It was nothing over the top. It was just straight to the point. Nothing special. They had some Oscars hanging from the rafters, which was really cool. Also followed by lights hanging down, which was really nice. Set the mood, and nothing crazy this year, because this year to me wasn't that special.
No.
So I felt like the set wasn't that great or special, but it was still nice to look at. It was all right.
What two Oscar shows really stand out in your mind? What are the best ones?
Definitely one with Hugh Jackman.
Okay.
He hosted, and that was great. And I think that was Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin.
Oh my God, that was I remember that one. That was great.
Fantastic 2 shows, very good. And these guys, I mean, they're seasoned vets. They know what they're doing on stage. they're both great shows.
I loved the Billy Crystal one with Titanic in
That was
1997.
that's a classic.
When he opened up, and I was
Yes.
like, oh my, when the ship came out, and he
you
was
knew
standing
that
on
was
the
gonna
bow of the
happen,
ship. I mean, Billy Crystal's like comedian royalty. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I loved that one. But you know, just to wrap up, I think the Oscars is one of Hollywood's biggest nights. Not to sound cliche, because I definitely just did, but it is. As film buffs and movie buffs, we love to watch it. It's kind of like gold for us.
Yes.
And I was really disappointed this year. I really was. And I was giving it a chance a good 10 minutes in, and then a good half hour, and I was like, oh, I was about to change
Yeah.
over to another show.
I have to say, you know, this year, a little lackluster for me.
Yeah.
The winners were well deserved. I mean, you know, especially, you know, Julianne Moore. I love her as an actress. I
Me
think
too.
she's great. But as far as the overall show, as far as entertainment wise
Yeah.
and being funny and creative, as far as Neil Patrick Harris's hosting, dropped the ball for me.
I think there was an
Drop the ball.
I think there was an cloud of sadness too, because you know the industry lost some greats this year, and I think you know losing Robin Williams, I think was definitely you know, they do the In Memoriam every year, but
Yes.
this year it just seemed so much more sad.
Now, Kate, do you know who they left out of In Memoriam? Joan Rivers.
And they also left out.
Left her out.
Oh God, what is his name? The guy that just died.
The guy just died?
Oh, man. Well, she wasn't really an. I mean, she was an act. She was more of a comedian, though. It wasn't, and that's what I thought because I noticed she wasn't in it.
Mm-hmm.
Philip Seymour Hoffman wasn't in it either.
Philip Seymour Hoffman wasn't in
No, I didn't see him in it either.
it? Oh.
No.
See, well, I mean, those two major people, they were,
Yeah.
well, especially with Joan Rivers, they got major slack for not putting Joan in it, which was surprising to a lot of people. But, listen,
You know,
it was the Oscars.
Yeah, exactly. I hope
maybe
this,
next year they'll get it right.
I hope this gives you guys some kind of insight. I hope you had fun joining us for this fun little show. Remember, we say this all the time. It's extremely important to support the arts, support the independent arts. Go to your local theaters
Yes.
like Jacob Burns in Pleasantville. They have all these cool artsy independent films out. This will air on Rye TV.
Yes,
so
guys.
check it out.
Rye TV, our YouTube channel.
Yes. And
We're doing big things. We got some new crazy ideas as far as different show concepts coming here to Rye TV
yes,
and on the YouTube channel. We are hyped and excited.
we are.
We're in studio.
Yes, we are.
This is actually legit, right?
Yes, this is real.
nice.
We're really doing this.
Guys, thank you very much
care,
for joining
guys.
us. Oscars 2015.
Bye.
Later.